The August 12th, 2013 Agenda Setting Committee voting meeting of the Carlynton School District Board of Directors is called to order. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. We don't have a pledger. All right, so why don't we just ask Dr. Dr. Maslick?
We have some fine young gentlemen in the back.
Do we? All right. Jonah Shriver. Get up here, Jonah. Get up here. I'm president of the school board. I can vote. I can order you around. Right there's good. You know the stars. You know these. You know the Pledge of Allegiance. Will you lead us? As soon as you're ready.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Jonah. Excellent job. Didn't forget a thing over the summer. Secretary will call the roll.
Director Hugan.
Here.
Director Sherrill. Present. Director Wolf.
Here.
Director Wilson.
She will not be here this evening.
Director Cicero.
Here.
Director Schreiber.
Here.
Director Shell.
She will not be here either.
Director Apple.
Here.
Director Russo.
Here. At this point, the board will welcome members of the community who are here, would like to comment on any agended item. Agendas were made available. If there's nothing on the agenda you wish to comment on but want to address the board on another item, there'll be an opportunity for you to do that at the end of the meeting during open forum. Seeing no one rise, we will move on to the minutes, and I will at this point entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the July 22nd, 2013 regular voting meeting. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Has been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? Motion passes. Reports. I'll report to you that we had an executive session immediately before this meeting where we discussed litigation, personnel issues, and I think we do come with contracts. That was it. Okay, that was it. Administrative reports. Turn first to our superintendent, and if you'd then lead us through the rest of the reports, Mr. Piper.
Absolutely. Had an opportunity over the last couple of weeks to get into the schools to see some of the construction that's taking place. It's exciting because you can see the transformation of some of the buildings with the new cassettes that are being placed into the ceilings at both buildings, Carnegie and Crafton. That'll help with air conditioning. We did have some issues with some asbestos abatement in the ceiling tiles, which we've had people come in and remove those, HEPA bag some of the areas out so that the areas will be safe for the children. We anticipate the buildings are going to open on time. However, there may be situations where people notice ceiling tiles still aren't in, floor tiles are gone. It's not going to be as perfect as it was when students left. It's going to be an ongoing construction site. But we believe guys were in over the weekend to help us clean. In meeting with the contractors and Mr. Riccio, we are optimistic we are going to start on time and that the kids are going to be there without too much disruption. In fact, our goal is to have everything up when the new teachers come back for their orientation and teacher induction on August 22nd. So that's the timeline we're looking at there. A couple changes in the state law, the Chapter 4 regs that I just want to go over. Of course, Chapter 4 has to deal with the new Common Core that's coming out, and that has been held up by the governor. We've been in the process of revising our curriculum based on the Common Core and also based on the Keystones and trying to integrate it in the K through 12 fashion so that it becomes a living document, that it's something we utilize all the time. Some of the changes that are a little more pertinent and I think address some needs of people in the Commonwealth that the legislature responded to, that the standards name change is moving from the Pennsylvania Common Core standards to the Pennsylvania Core standards. And that's to clarify to people that the Pennsylvania standards were developed by Pennsylvania educators and are similar but not identical to the Common Core, so that we still maintain local control, state control over our programs. The standards are applicable only to public schools. So children that are attending Bishop Canevin or diocesan schools or private schools, this does not apply to them. It does apply to charter and cyber charter schools. The state will not require schools to utilize a statewide curriculum or force people to adopt a statewide reading list. So again, some of the concerns was that everybody has to read To Kill a Mockingbird in 8th grade or Frankenstein in 9th. There will still be some local control and influence on the text that you're reading based on the needs of the community and the input for the teachers. And I think that's very important to move ahead. Further, Pennsylvania will not participate as a governing state in any consortium for the development of national assessments, and Pennsylvania will not expand its collection of data, personal data on students or family data. So those are some things that have been going around, and this just came out last week. We got notification of it with the Chapter 4 changes. There's some other proposed changes that the legislature is going to talk about. So we may be seeing some additional changes before the school year starts. But these are the ones that have been passed so far. Also for this year, there's a new law called Act 82, which affects teacher evaluation. Act 82 is going to be very time-consuming, very complex for our teachers, for our administrators. And this year is going to be an interesting year to see how it unrolls. Essentially, they're going to use there's a teaching framework by Charlotte Danielson that's going to comprise 50% of a teacher's evaluation. Then you're going to break it down into building level scores, which is like another 15%. You're going to look at individual teacher effectiveness, where you're going to tie it in with test scores to the teachers, and elective data. Elective data is going to be 20%. The elective data is going to be, we're going to get a choice, a menu from the state of things to choose that we may include in this elective data. But this is going to be the framework. So it's going to be a little different than how we've evaluated teachers or how teachers are used to being evaluated. And everything is then going to be converted onto a smaller scale for the teachers. Because our contract for the teachers had expired by June 30th, and we approved the next one towards the end of July. All these changes now have to become embedded in the contract as the teacher rating tool. Now, there are some questions over teachers who may not be, the idea is to get teachers who are directly instructing kids every day. You have some situations like school counselors, educational specialists that really aren't directly instructing kids. How do their scores get determined? You have situations where you have teachers that go from building A to building B. So if a building level test score affects 15% of their evaluation, how do you determine that? So there's still some things that need to be worked out with it. It's not perfect. And I think people will concede it's not perfect, and there needs to be additional discussions about it. But it is the law of the land. And it's something that both administrators and faculty have to adopt to.
Are there going to be any consequences to these evaluations, whether they be positive or negative?
Well, it's just like the current evaluation system. If the teacher's found to be unsatisfactory, you have to go back and see that teacher within 4 months to issue the unsatisfactory. The teachers will be able to provide input when they see some of the feedback and provide some documentation to the evaluator. So the idea is it's going to be a little more two-way than just somebody comes in your classroom, here's what I saw in this small chunk of time, here's your observation. Part of the concern for 13-14 is going to be some of the building level scores. There's some value-added assessment scores that these scores aren't going to be ready, nor are there going to be some student learning outcomes that aren't going to be available either. So in that case, 85% of the teacher's evaluation for this year is going to be based on that observation by the Danielson model. So it's going to be an adjustment. We're going to do some professional development with the teachers on this. Dr. Maslick, Mrs. Hudson, and I went to a conference sponsored by Ira Weiss downtown to go over it. The IU's been discussing it. So this is going to be something, as some of these questions come up, For example, Bart Rocco over at Elizabeth Forward had a question for Linda Hippert. What do you do in a situation where a teacher's been rated unsatisfactory this year under the old system, but the plan for improvement takes place for next year? So there's some of those contingencies that I think still have to be hammered out. But I think, at least for the faculty, people need to know up front, we have to proceed in this because, again, it was passed by the legislature.
Do we have to now reopen our contract
No.
to include this? No?
Nope, takes precedence. So we have to write it in. But again, all the contracts that have expired prior to July 1st, this has to be included into it.
Any other questions on this matter for Gary?
And that's
Anything
all.
else? That's your report?
No, that's
All
it.
right.
Now, at this time, I'd like to turn to the business manager report by Mr. Christie.
Thank you. Tomorrow, representatives from our accounting firm, Hosek Speck, Metzel and Wood, will be coming to my office. They're going to start the 12-13 school year audit. They're anticipating being here for approximately 4 days. They'll do some preliminary work. They'll be back approximately mid-September to do the final field work, and hopefully we'll have a fund balance that's audited toward late October. That's generally the same timelines that they've used in the past, and I want the board to be aware that they're showing up tomorrow. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
How long are we tied in with this particular accounting firm?
I believe this is the second year of a 3-year agreement.
And previously, was it the same group that we had for auditing?
Yes.
How long have they been our auditors, Kirby, offhand?
At least 10 years, at least.
I think.
They do a very good job. In fact, I just received a letter from the Comptroller's office indicating that the single audit act that was submitted to them last year was complete and no errors were found in the single audit act. So I can't say enough about them. I believe they're a good auditing firm. Also, when we do, in the past, I've checked around to see what other people are using and the prices that they're paying, and these people are basically in the ballpark of other firms. So it's not that we're spending more money than other places are.
Thank you. Further questions?
We're not required to rotate auditors after so many years.
No, it's a contracted service similar to our solicitor. You can keep the solicitor, you keep the auditors, that type of situation. You're not required to bid it out unless the district wants to bid it out.
Other questions? Thanks, Kirby.
Thank you. This time I'd like to call on Mrs. Myford for the People Personnel Services report.
The first thing to report is that we do have someone coming from the Department of Education, specifically the Special Education Department, on Wednesday to visit Carnegie Elementary because we had proposed a new autistic support classroom. So they have to approve of the space that we're going to use for that and make sure that we're not discriminating against the students in the classroom in any way. So we'll be seeking to get that approval on Wednesday. My other announcement is, again, that there is an advisory board committee meeting, and I think I announced that at the previous board meeting. It's this Thursday night in this building, and that is for the after-school program.
And you said that was like 5 o'clock or 4:30?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Did I say 5 o'clock?
Well, I was thinking it was too early for me to be able to make the meeting.
6 o'clock. What we need to do is make plans for how the program will run this year. The biggest change will be that we are trying to work in other community programming. For instance, we're talking with the local karate instructor. And we got approved for Girls on the Run, which is affiliated with UPMC, the group where you have coaches, and actually we have a teacher from the district, and it was supposed to be me as the head coach, but I'm not certain about this. But you go to be trained, and then the girls practice and enter a 5K at the end of the period of time. So we're looking for ways to find more community organizations to involve. We're also meeting with the Family Resources Group that Mrs. Hudson and I have been talking with to possibly bring in the Family Resources, that's the name of the agency, to provide us with more supports during the after-school time. And they, in return, are looking at after-school programming for other students as well. So there are a lot of exciting things we're trying to do, and that's what we're going to talk about on Thursday. But bringing in all of the different community organizations that, maybe if anyone knows of an organization, something with athletics, extracurriculars that I'm not aware of, we could contact them and invite them and talk with them about being involved with our after-school program. Last year, we did the Southwestern PA Mentoring Association. The Carnegie Library was involved. They were coming once a week. And we had the Rotary coming and doing presentations with us last year.
Any questions for Mrs. Langford? Lee, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now for a principal report from Dr. Maslin.
I did give everyone the summer newsletter. Those did go home in the mail to families today. One thing that I do want to mention on the back, some STEAM news, I guess. We were sort of disappointed at Crafton that Grable did not fund us this year. We were lucky, 3 years consecutively, so we're proud of that. But we have sort of an exciting opportunity through my association with the Children's Museum. We've been asked to be a mobile site for the Make Shop. At the museum, there is an area where students, children of all ages actually, engage in all kinds of different hands-on learning. And the Children's Museum was awarded a grant that allows them to create 5 sites somewhere else besides the museum. And we applied and we were chosen as one of the sites. So one day every week, we will have an artist maker from the Children's Museum come in our STEAM studio to work with our students. They can provide, they can team teach, they can provide professional development, they can do after-school kinds of things. So we're really excited about it. One of the catches, I guess, to us being awarded this distinction is that we had to send a team of teachers this week to what they're calling Maker Boot Camp. And it's sort of a get your hands dirty kind of professional development. And I will say that I had 10 teachers volunteer to take time this week to go down. So I'll be going down tomorrow with a few teachers, and we're going to be learning things like woodworking and electronic sewing with LED lights and 3D printing and all sorts of neat things. And the nice part is, because of our association with the Children's Museum, they'll be able to give us a lot of equipment that we'll be able to use in our building. So we're just looking forward to ways that we can help our students to continue on that path, and also to coordinate those efforts with Carnegie, maybe the after-school program as well.
The 3D printing, who are you bringing in? And what do you know what they'll be printing?
Well,
and what media they'll be using?
Well, I don't know yet.
Okay.
We learn that on Thursday.
Okay, because it's a fantastic, new technology of sorts, but actually there are things that can be made that nobody can manufacture without 3D printing. And it's three-dimensional, very complex things that are used in heart-lung transplants, to satellite requirements for, certain gyroscopes. I mean, there's so much that can be done with 3D printing. It's the latest wave of, it's amazing technology. It's all I can say. I'm amazed by it. And you can see it. Anybody wants to see it, go to YouTube. I mean, it's amazing what can be made with 3D printing.
Well, we might be getting one. So we'll see.
They're not that expensive.
I'm fairly familiar with the program down there, and I think the Make Shop is a really great place. I can tell you that their 3D printers are based on plastic pellets that,
Right.
driven by a computer.
There's also metal ones as well.
Yeah, these are plastic that
Right.
they have.
That's
So-
what they're going to use, the plastic.
I would assume, because that's what
Okay.
they have in their facility now.
Yeah.
So, and it's pretty interesting. I mean, they have a
Very interesting.
fairly, not very powerful laptop computer that runs it, and you can do a lot with it. So it's not hugely, you don't need a heck of a machine to do it.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
And actually, for the plastic, they're not
Right.
that expensive.
Right.
Any further questions for Dr.
Great
Maslin?
stuff, Jason.
Anything else? Thanks, Jason. Mr. Pfeiffer, concludes your report. All right, moving on now. I'll entertain, under miscellaneous, I'll entertain a motion to approve the list of 2013-14 conference and field trip requests as presented. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions, the motion passes. We'll move on to finance. Mr. Pfeiffer, for that first item, do you have the information, the period of time for this agreement and the,
I believe it's a one-year period of time for eSafe for, is it 11,000?
11,881.95.
all right, Kirby, 11,
881.95.
not to exceed $11,882. Okay. So we will do these.
For how many years?
1 year?
1 year.
We're going to do under finance, we have 4 items. I'll entertain a motion to approve those 4 items being the approval of the VMware renewal agreement for a 1-year period at cost not to exceed $11,882 as submitted by eSafe Technologies. Number 2, the list of kitchen cafeteria equipment and to declare as surplus for the purpose of obtaining sealed bids with proceeds allocated to the food service account as presented. Number 3, the grant received from the Grable Foundation to provide academic support to children through the Carnegie Towers Power Hour, program as submitted. And number 4, the purchase of a 2014 Ford F-350 truck for the maintenance department at a cost not to exceed $29,491 as presented. Price includes a snowplow and trailer hookup. Is there a motion for those 4 items?
So moved.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Please identify the item by its number. Director Yugen.
I would move to table number 4, pending a report from a Ford Service Center as to what exactly is needed to repair our existing truck.
Okay. Let's do this, if we may. Since a motion to table is not debatable, I'd first entertain a motion to amend the motion that's on the floor to include only items 1, 2, and 3 and not 4. So we can talk about those and then move on to 4. Is there such a motion to amend?
So moved.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion to amend? There being none, we will vote to amend the motion, so we're only going to talk about 1, 2, and 3 to start with. We're not voting to approve 1, 2, and 3, we're just agreeing that's what we're going to talk about first. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions, the motion carries. So, focusing on 1, 2, and 3, is there any discussion? There being none, we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions, the motion carries. Number 4, motion to purchase a 2014 Ford F-350 truck, as previously described. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All right, there is a motion on the floor. Now, you wish to table that motion.
I wish to table the motion pending a report from a Ford Service Center as to what is needed to repair the existing vehicle.
There is a motion to table. Is there a second? There is a second. There is no discussion. Mrs. Sherp, a second.
Sorry.
Can we have a roll call vote on the motion to table?
Yes.
Director Hugan,
Yes?
Director Walkovia.
Yes.
Director Shriver,
To clarify, we're voting on whether or not to table the motion to purchase the truck.
Yes.
Okay.
Talk about it today or talk about it next meeting, in essence?
Okay. No.
Director Sharifka,
Yes.
Director Apple,
No.
Director Tesoro,
No.
Director Bruce.
Yes. The vote is 4-3. The motion is defeated. You lose, Sandra, I'm sorry. You didn't get the 5 votes.
Oh, that's right, there's so many absences.
Yes, I'm sorry. You 4-3, the motion is defeated, so the motion is not tabled. We will have discussion now on the motion. the motion to purchase the truck.
I think there were some questions from some directors about what is the current status of the current truck. Gary, I don't know if you know, did Mr. Riccio provide some anecdotal evidence that the truck was, in his opinion, old and
The truck is a 1997 model, 16 years old. It has 86,460 miles on it. It's been extensively used in the district for snow plowing, hauling, and so forth. He's concerned that the front end is going to be replaced, and there's going to be some major repairs. From working with it, the plow is about it's like a 7-foot, 5-inch plow, which is about the right size. The truck is an F-350, which is what Mr. Riccio is planning to replace it with, a light kind, so it's not really, he's not trying to upgrade to a more extensive model, looking more for the newest model of the current model we have. He came to me with it. We can get municipal funding through Will Graves of Allegheny Ford at 6 and Bingham Street in Pittsburgh to work with us to look at a payment plan for the truck. But we even looked at what the Blue Book value. To trade in a truck, we get $4,000. To sell it, Kelly's Blue Book has it listed at about $6,000. So based on Mr. Riccio's recommendation, the age of the truck, some of the repairs, that was why, he put in for a new truck. And this is something that was tabled last year when he's looking to add a new truck as well. So that's where the request comes from, and that's what he's looking at.
Was this money budgeted?
This money was removed from the budget in budget cuts. It is not budget. However, Mr. Recchio has indicated that he believes he can save some money in other areas that would pay for this.
Would you, Kirby, just so we're clear, when you say other areas, is he proposing that he would not spend this $30,000 in other items that have been budgeted? So that his budget would be met at the end of the year?
He's not looking to exceed his budget. He's indicated, as you just had mentioned, that possibly in other areas, he might not spend the money that he had originally budgeted to pay for this particular truck.
Okay.
You mentioned, Gary, or Mr. Piper, that there's a possibility of financing the vehicle?
Yes.
And so would that then mean that we would need to find the $30,000 out of this current budget, or would we just need to budget the amount of principal and interest that we'd be paying for the vehicle minus trade-in possibly or selling outright?
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
We'd have to sit down and get some exact figures because, he had it listed down a 3, 4, or 5-year plan
Right.
to do the payments. And again, the person he contacted was Will Graves at Allegheny Ford because I
Right.
guess they do a municipal plan.
So with interest rates being what they are, and if you divide it by 3, we're probably talking about...
I don't think it would hurt, to take a drive down there and talk with him and try to get some figures to bring back to the board
Yeah,
about what those payments would look like and what we're looking at.
right. I agree.
Further discussion?
Do we have an estimate as to what it would cost to repair the truck as it is now?
No, I do not have an estimate. They don't repair the trucks in-house. They go out-of-house for those.
Well, can we get an estimate as to what the repair cost might be?
Well, sure. If we go down, we might be able to kill 2 birds with 1 stone at this Will Graves Ford place.
One other question. I see it's a 2014, typically at the end of the year. 13s, they offer incentives and those, for a brand new vehicle, obviously, but, I was just wondering if it was pursued at all or if it could be looked at, as far as, is a 13 available? And
I would caution that in discussions with Mr. Recchio that this was a price based on a bid that the state received. We're piggybacking off the bid. We obviously just can't go and buy something for $29,000 because that violates state law. So I believe that in discussions with him, this is based on a piggyback price on a state bid. Right. Certainly, maybe he could look into see if there's any 2013s available on a state bid price.
Right. Exactly.
I texted him that.
Okay.
But we had discussed that.
Okay.
And if we didn't buy it through this state bid program, we would have to get bids for the truck.
That's correct.
But this allows us to, and we're assuming that's a good price,
Correct.
because the state has a contract for quantity. So I
Right.
think if this is the best deal we can get for this particular truck.
But they didn't ask for a 2013 bid price,
What?
if it were available.
That's right.
Right.
It may not be that that's on the
It may or may
schedule.
not, but, I mean, you know, August and September are usually discount days for previous model years, and it's still a new vehicle. And you may be able to do a better price.
Well, that would be a whole different process for going out to bid.
That's correct, yeah.
Further discussion?
On the count, it was a 4-3 on the table
Yes, ma'am.
motion. So do we now have to go back and vote for the truck, or are we going to just?
Currently, there is a motion on the floor which has been amended, which is to approve the purchase of a 2014 Ford F-350 truck. The motion to table that motion did not get 5 votes, so it wasn't tabled. But there will be a vote then on that motion, because it's the motion on
To
the floor
purchase.
right now. To purchase, under the, as listed on the agenda.
But we can still, even if the motion passes, we can still ask John to go down and see about the financing and repairs.
Well, I would, it's, sure, we don't have to follow through on this, although we have a motion that specifically is approving a 2014 truck at a specific price off the state bid list. So if we're going to negotiate or try to find something else,
You'd have to.
we need to do it all.
No, I'm just
Yeah.
saying that, you know, it's, you go down and you say, hey, you know, could you do a quick look at this truck and see what it's going to cost to repair the mechanical and the body work and that sort of thing? And if it turns out that it's maybe not all that bad, then we don't have to follow through with this motion, do we, or do we?
No, but let me throw a thought out. We did have a motion to table. Can you move to reconsider a motion to table?
Sure.
I thought so. So perhaps someone who was on the prevailing side, that is the side that prevailed, the side that voted not to table, one of the three of you, because I voted to table as well as everyone, might move to reconsider the motion to table so that we could do some of this stuff with the idea that by the next meeting, we're going to decide what we're going to do and try to get it done. I would put that as because it does seem like there's some valid points that we all seem to be embracing.
Yeah.
I think, personally, from what I've heard, I think we got to get a truck. Not everybody may agree with that, but I think it's fair to say if there's some ways to look into this to do it a little differently that might behoove the district, I'd be willing to wait a meeting.
And to your point, I would say that if you're going to spend $30,000, to purchase a new truck,
Did he move to table?
or if you could extend the life of it, you know, if it were Fonda, you could extend the life for maybe 5 or 6, maybe you extend the life for 5
So
or
let's
6.
find that,
but we
let's find
don't
that
pay
information.
Right.
Well, wait a second. Did you move to table?
No, it's just.
I-
No.
No,
Was in the
previous-
Sandra had moved to table, Patty seconded, the vote did not get 5 votes.
Right.
You need 5 votes to do anything, so it failed. So those who voted for the motion to table did not prevail. Those who voted against the motion did prevail. And under Robert's rules, a motion can be reconsidered if someone who voted on the prevailing side makes the motion. The 4 of us are precluded from making the motion. because
You were
we-
the prevailing side,
No.
No,
This
we didn't
is
have
not
5
been
votes.
tabled.
5 votes.
because you,
It's not who got the most votes. We got more votes, but
but
we
because
didn't
of
get
the,
5.
because of
Didn't get
the,
5.
People
So,
wanted to table
if someone was to make a motion to reconsider the motion to table, we could then talk about it and put a laundry list of information
I
together.
would be happy to make that, but I would like the laundry list to be made now, so we know exactly what we're gonna ask, because this has been kicking around for a year.
Is that fair? That's fair.
I
Let's get
wanna, anybody that has a question has to put it down now.
I'd ask-
I'd support that.
Yeah.
Mr. Pfeiffer, could you perhaps
I'd support that.
So I,
get your laundry list written down here?
Reconsider.
So Sandra, I know you had some specific questions.
I will make the motion to reconsider.
Let's
Yeah,
perhaps
let's make the
let's-
list first.
Let's draw the
As-
list up first.
Okay.
I personally think that a Ford service center should take a look at this truck and put that truck on the computer that they have.
Have it inspected, thoroughly inspected by
And the
a
computer will say, you need this, this, and this on this truck.
Diagnostic on the truck.
Yes.
full diagnostic by a certified Ford.
Yes.
Because it's a Ford truck.
Does it
And
really need to be a
Wilson Wind
certified
is an
Ford, though? I
excellent
mean, it's an
dealer.
That's
older
what she's
vehicle
asking.
that you could get it done locally, say at a local business.
That's what she said.
That's what she's
Wilson Wind.
asking.
Down
Oh,
in
Wilson
Heidelberg.
Wind is in our district, though? No, they're not.
Close enough.
Heidelberg.
Well, I mean, if you're
I
saying
have a
Heidelberg,
Ford
you might
truck
as
and I
well
take
say
it to
north
Wilson
side.
Wind and they're excellent.
What else
Yeah,
would,
too.
what else
When I
would
had a
directors
Ford,
like on the list?
And if you're going to examine the truck, it may be fair to ask them what is likely to go wrong in the next 6 months or a year based on the
So the
age.
diagnostic,
Wind blows.
Wilkes and Wynn, not Wilson.
so Mr. Pfeiffer suggested that this diagnostic would just not identify current problems, but attempt to identify things that
Coming
likely
down the
may go
road.
wrong in 6 to 12 months.
Right, and also put a cost to what needs to
Each of
be
these
done.
items, yes. In other words, obviously, we're doing an assessment as to whether to repair or to buy.
And
Give us
that-
some numbers to do that
And-
assessment.
And that would include any scheduled maintenance that would come up, within the next, what's the time frame that we're looking at?
Timing belt,
All that stuff.
Right.
Right.
Tran.
training, yeah.
Steve,
There was, you asked about maybe we could
On
find.
another note, that's
That's a-
another thing, as Kirby said, and I would say that, that's probably secondary.
That, like looking for a 213 or something like that.
If we can salvage this, and be able to preserve it for another few years, then that's a moot point.
Right.
But if not, you may want to look and see if by chance there is a better deal on a 13.
I'm seeing 3 options develop here. One is repair what we have.
Right.
One is go with the 14 as
Right.
motion, as the motion currently reads. And one is to look for something
A
like a
new
213, or even maybe it could be 2012 used, or something.
Well, I wouldn't go used,
Okay.
truly. But if you want to have something that you're going to acquire brand new and maintain,
Okay.
so I would look at a 13.
What else would you
I
like,
would also
Gary?
like to have specific information as to the resale of this truck, who's going to purchase it, how much are we going to ask for it,
we'd have to do that.
and that should be
restaurant
information that we get from
I don't know that
a
we'd
Ford
have.
dealership.
Well, maybe we could have, would it be fair to simply get an estimate
Yeah.
from the Ford dealership
Oh.
as to what they believe one could get for it, as
Certainly, they
opposed
have
to
a
actually
person
having
there that
a buyer lined up?
evaluates trade-ins.
As is.
Assess it, if we did trade it.
Well, while
Other-
we're making this list, can John come up with his list of where he's going to deduct $30,000 from his budget?
Where, and
That's
where would the funds come from in the budget to cover it?
Right.
Good point.
Does that say it's going to be 30,000 though?
Well, whatever it is, I mean, we understand what that is.
29,491.
I'm
we're-
saying if we
Because we
make
don't pay
payments on
sales
it, then
tax.
it's not 30,000.
Well, how does the administration propose to pay for this truck without increasing the budget for the current year?
Correct.
Is that fair to put?
Yeah.
Okay. Further items for the list? Nothing else? I'll entertain a motion to reconsider the motion to table. Is there such a
I
motion?
would like to make the motion to reconsider the table.
Is there a second?
Does it have to be one of us to do that?
Second.
It'd be easier.
Okay.
All right. It has been moved and seconded to reconsider the motion to table. I don't believe this is debatable, is it? No. It's not debatable, so we will just vote. We need 5 votes to reconsider. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Is this to reconsider?
This is a motion to reconsider, then we will talk about the motion to table. This will
Okay,
allow us
okay.
to table.
Very good. Okay.
We need a yes
You want to vote yes?
I-
Just vote yes.
Yes.
Director Walkowiak. Director Tesoro.
Yes.
Director Shriver.
Yes.
Director Shariffa.
Yes.
Director Hugan.
Yes.
Director Apple.
Yes.
Director Russo.
Yes. There is now on the table, a motion, on the floor, a motion to table, which is not debatable. So we will move immediately into a vote to table. You want to vote yes.
Does this
We're going to go,
include the list that we're...
That allows us to do the list.
well, this
But
is,
does
we're
that need
tabling
to
the
be-
motion.
Does that need to be included?
No.
Or do we
Well,
have to put a new motion out?
This is a non-debatable motion. We are simply voting to table, and you want to vote yes.
Okay.
A vote, call vote, please.
Director Walkowiak.
Yes.
Director Shriver.
Yes.
Director Shariffa.
Yes.
Director Tesoro.
Yes.
Director Apple.
Yes.
Director Hugan.
Yes.
Director Russo.
Yes. The motion has been tabled. We'll bring it up at the next meeting. I think we've been clear in giving instruction to our superintendent, the information that we feel is going to be necessary to be able to competently discuss the motion at the next meeting, and we'll just deal with it then.
Very responsible.
Okay, so, moving on to personnel. That's where we are, I think, yes? I will entertain a motion. Let's do the first three. Let's do the first three?
Well, I don't see names in number 4.
Well, I'm not gonna, do you have, I think the...
updated?
I have the old one.
Do you have
No.
anything in green? All right, I'll do the first 4, actually. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the list of day-to-day substitutes for the 13-14 year as recommended by the administration. Number 2, approve the supplemental athletic contract list as presented. Number 3, to approve the following individual to be appointed to supplemental activities contract list for 13-14. Brady Amerson, Assistant Band Director, has resigned. And then Jennifer Surlees as Assistant Band Director, making those changes. And number 4, award
For Gary.
temporary employee contracts to the listed individuals under the terms and conditions of the Carlynton Federation of Teachers Collective Bargaining Unit. Is there a motion for those 4 items?
So moved.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Please identify the item you'd like to discuss. by
Item
title.
4, can you tell me how many of these positions are new positions versus a replacement for a retired teacher?
When you say new, Ms. Director Shepherd,
new
you say
position.
a created position?
Yes, thank you.
I believe the guidance counselor is the new. Now, for the special education, we looked at none of these are not the autistic. One of them is,
One, Allison is the one for autistic support.
right, and the other 2 are replacements.
Yes.
So the answer is 2 of the 3 are new positions?
Yes,
Is that-
the craft and guidance counselor, which we approved, and the autistic support classroom, one of the
Okay.
special needs teachers that's
Okay.
listed.
Further discussion?
Are any of these positions mandated by state or federal regulation, or are these based on needs that we've identified? And
It's really both, especially for the autistic classroom.
Right, the autistic classroom, we do have students now slated to go in, because we had already approved the position and actually filled it with someone within the district, and then that person took another position. So this is backfilling, right? But that was created because we have students coming into kindergarten with needs who need to be in that classroom. By law, we can only have 12 students in the life skills room, and we would have been beyond 12. So we needed to add some sort of additional support service for those students.
Thank you. Further discussion?
Can I ask why we need a guidance counselor at the elementary level?
Well, as we discussed in the meetings, because a lot of the needs of the kids were pretty severe at Carnegie, the Crafton Council spent the bulk of our time going over there and really depriving the kids at Crafton services they could use. At each building, Crafton has about 325 kids. Carnegie has 400 and some right now. But again, they weren't being served by the current model we have. And that was discussed by the board for the need to have the elementary council.
Well, what does that mean, not being served? Because
Well,
we have
you're
special ed
you're not
teachers
not
that-
able to do character development programs for the kids. If there's grief counseling and the kids, something goes wrong with them, you're not able to do any type of group counseling. You're not able to do programs for younger kids to help them with their other developmental needs the kids may have.
But we have a guidance counselor for elementary currently, correct?
Yes, one
Between the 2 buildings.
I understand.
between the 2 buildings.
Further discussion?
Can we break this out?
If you would like to make a motion to amend the motion to only consider items 1, 2, and 3, I would entertain that
Seems to
motion.
be the theme for the evening.
Yes. Are you making that motion?
Yes, please.
Is there a second?
I'll second
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions, the motion carries. If there's no further discussion, then we'll vote on 1, 2, and 3. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions, the motion carries. I'll now entertain a motion for number 4. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Has been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Now, any further discussion on just number 4, which is on the table? There being, yes.
I just want to talk about the fact that a year or so ago, I asked our, what's her name? Mrs. Myford. Remember, we had a discussion, and you did go forward, and you found about health insurance that comes through the state for whatever reason there would be a need, and it's for lower income, right? Wouldn't things like this be handled through health insurance for consultations with mental health resources? Why do we have to provide and just have this person sitting by just in case this person is needed, whenever there are resources out there that parents pay for health insurance and the state provides? Is this like too much?
We actually, in Carnegie, have one person who is full-time already, who's providing therapeutic services, paid 100% by health insurance. We're not paying for her, and she's already providing counseling. And we still weren't meeting the needs totally in Carnegie. But that is someone we brought in through health insurance and an agreement that I had with Wesley Spectrum Services. So we've had for 2 years someone full-time providing us therapeutic services that we haven't paid anything for. And we still had Sherry Lee on call constantly to go to Carnegie because of the level of need. Now, with that agreement with Wesley Spectrum, I'm trying to increase that we could have more and more and more services between all of our schools, and they actually have seen some students up here as well where it's paid through the health insurance, but I don't dictate where they send their person because we haven't paid a dime for that service. And we have given her a full-time office in Carnegie. We've not been able to extend that really to Crafton just because the need really has been at Carnegie consistently. And we have completely filled her caseload so that she was completely paid by health insurance. The district didn't pay any of that. But still, we were pulling the guidance counselor. I think that's the level of need of students that we've had there. As you can see, because the life skills room has been filled and we need autistic support.
Does the IU have any outreach programs for as needed, on an as needed basis?
The IU has as needed programs at a cost. They're not inexpensive to use the IU for as needed programs.
When will you hear back from Wesley?
Well, they proposed, I met with them probably 3 times this summer to try to see if I could add more therapeutic services. They cannot add, they were actually considering adding another full-time person to support our district. They would not do that without us paying for part of the salary.
What kind of percentage are they asking for?
A minimum of 50%.
And what is their teacher salary?
So we would be paying about $40,000.
I'm sorry, 40?
40 for half of a salary for someone, that we're not controlling.
And we wouldn't be paying their benefits because the benefits would be coming from Wesley, right?
Could be. I didn't go forward with
That'd be
that
a
conversation
great way to
because
go.
it's not our employee.
Well, Dr. Maslick, can you explain, and I think I have a sense that the counselor needs to be at the school. I mean, you can't control when these incidents occur and say, call in somebody to come in. It doesn't work that way. And you don't have necessarily, as Saunders saying, that parents have insurance. Isn't it more an issue that a lot of these children, maybe some of their issues are driven because of their parents not providing for them, and we are the catch gate for these children? And
Well, and keep in mind, we've had a couple students who've been serviced through Wesley. They've come in and been doing some site-based counseling with a few students. But the guidance counselor position isn't just to address a crisis. I mean, our guidance counselor teaches lessons in the classrooms on career education, On bullying, our counselor has always been a part of our Alveus bullying team, a part of the positive behavior support plan for the building. We have, Sherry Lee had done lunch bunch groups with kids who are going through divorce, who, maybe they just need a check-in person. On that same lines, Miss Lee also served as kind of a homework check with some kids who maybe didn't have somebody who was checking their homework when they walked out of home in the morning, and she was sort of their home base at school. I don't want anybody to think that this person is going to sit in an office and do nothing until a crisis arises. In fact, the candidate that we're proposing had asked if he could do bus duty during the interview process, which I thought was quite commendable, because he felt that that was the best way to touch base with all the kids every morning. He asked if he could be outside at lunchtime because he's interested in getting to know the kids on a personal level, and I think that's the kind of relationship that we're looking for, somebody who's going to be a good role model that's there all the time in all of those different settings. If it's just to be a point person for the students, but also to be able to be there in a time of crisis or of great need in the community.
And you could also utilize a person to help develop K through 12 guidance curriculum and help with transition to middle school.
And we didn't even mention assessment. Sherry Lee in the past had been responsible for ordering assessments, organizing those at the building level. She worked with the building principals and with Mr. Mantich last year during testing season, and so we definitely have a full load of work for this person.
Can we just get back to this full-time person from Wesley? If we would hire this person and pay half the salary, so it would be a Wesley employee, that would allow the guidance counselor we have now to be full-time at Crafton. Is that right?
No, when they, the person I have at Wesley, or from Wesley now at Carnegie, carries a caseload of students, just like if you were an outpatient therapist.
I understand, but you were talking about this, speculating about the second person?
Right. So we would pay part of the salary for if there was a crisis, but not to do the full role of guidance. So they would have maybe 5 students that they routinely followed, and those were the only 5 who would be on their caseload. And then the rest of the time, maybe crisis management. Just like the person who's at Carnegie now through Wesley saw no more than 12 students this year because that was her caseload.
So they don't really fill the whole need.
They're not a guidance
It's not an
counselor,
apples-
but it's for
it's
those
not an
mental
apples
health
to
needs,
apples.
like you were talking about mental health. Extraordinary mental health needs.
Is it your recommendation that we hire this individual?
It has been, and it's been the recommendation of the committee for some time.
It
Pupil
is your
Services
recommendation, is
Committee.
that correct?
Yes.
Is it your recommendation, Dr. Meslin? Is it your recommendation?
It is my recommendation.
Further discussion? There being no further,
Just one quick point. I appreciate the questions being asked, and I appreciate the answers, because I don't know enough about this topic, so I support the recommendations in general, but I appreciate hearing the background and hearing what they do, why it's needed, that it's not just crisis management, but there is other stuff that's a part of the role, so that's important.
Well, and very much part of the interview process was asking about creating the guidance curriculum district-wide, because we've been doing so much crisis response that there hasn't been time to look at the lessons for each grade level and how students move through that within the district. So very much part of the interview process was talking about the recommendations from the Counseling Association, what that curriculum would look like, how we would build that for the district.
anything else?
And what we're using now is 50-50 spread between the 2 buildings?
Well, we have
What's
one,
happening now?
we have one
More at
counselor,
Carnegie than at Crafton.
we have one counselor for the 2 buildings, but that person is spending more time on one building than the other. So, he's like,
And
that's
what
great.
would the salary be for this guidance counselor? Anybody know?
The teacher's salary.
I believe
It's
he'd
a
be on the
teacher's salary.
First step teacher salary,
First
which
step?
is at about, Kirby, 40,000 this year.
I can say,
In that
based
range.
on last year's schedule, it was around $40,000 for a step 1 teacher.
Plus benefits.
That's correct. And payroll costs.
Any further discussion? There being none, we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
I will vote for everyone except the guidance counselor.
Well, unfortunately, Mrs. Eugen, that's not the motion on the floor.
It wasn't split.
We would have had to amend the motion, so
Up
you
or
either
down?
vote for or against it.
And it's a no.
A no. So Mrs. Shrippa and Mrs. Eugen both voting no. The vote is 5-2. The motion passes. Moving on, items 5 through 9. I'll entertain a motion to approve the award of a 3-hour day general cafeteria worker position at the junior senior high school to Patricia Cormick, as submitted under the terms and conditions of the bargaining unit agreement. Number 6, leaves of absence for employee CFT 13-14-04 and employee CFT 13-14-05, as submitted. Number 7, the resignation of Zach Rice, elementary special education teacher. Number 8, the termination of the positions of high school librarian aide and one instructional aide position at Carnegie Elementary. Number 9, the creation of a position for a life skills aide for Carnegie Elementary and a post for said position. Is there a motion for those 5 items?
So moved.
There is a motion. Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion?
Yeah, number 9. Is that something we're required to do, Lee?
Well, as you see, number 8 is the instructional aide position at Carnegie Elementary, which you added last year for the kindergarten.
Right.
We would like to use that position, but with the autistic support classroom. Unfortunately, we can't call them instructional aide in the autistic support classroom. It would be life skills aide.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because of the role that they play in the autistic support classroom, they fall under the life skills aide category because of the task they fill.
Okay.
And we met with Marilyn Stewart this afternoon to go over that and talk about the appropriate way to do it.
Okay.
Any further discussion? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions, and motion carries. Under Student Services, I'll entertain a motion to approve the 13-14 Carlynton Junior Senior High School Student Handbook as submitted. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Has been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
One quick note. Are there any changes, textual changes, last-minute changes to personnel that we want to try to include in here, or is it too late to make any?
That's a great question.
You mean adding additional staff onto the
If there's any changes that might occur?
I would suggest that the approval of this handbook is being done by this board with the understanding that any changes that have recently occurred or will soon occur will be incorporated in that handbook. That is the understanding we have.
Thank you. Just drawing attention.
Any further discussion?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Just a question. Obviously, we have a website. Obviously, things change during the year. We have drop-down menus on our website. Could there be an icon added to our drop-downs? Okay, you're working on it, for any changes of anything that would, whether it's policy, more likely it's going to be personnel and phone numbers and things like that, and positions that are going to change. So if we could add that icon, okay, whatever you want to call it, so that if people want to see if there are any changes or, any additions, anything, it might make sense to have it available on our website rather than sending out a piece of paper in the mail that'll be an addendum to this.
So you're suggesting even with staff changes to,
Well, I think that it would be the handbook, our handbook, and any changes, it would be changes to handbook during school year. Okay, which would primarily be individuals and phone numbers, contacts, things like that.
Okay.
Unless it were a policy change, something that actually changed during the year for some reason, which it could be as well. So I'm just suggesting that. I mean, it's up for discussion.
Yeah.
I just think that the more information that we put out there, we have that, the ability to communicate, with our website. I just think that we should utilize it to the highest degree we possibly
I
can.
would say we might be able to get that on the app.
I don't know if I was going to ask.
There you go. There we go.
We, of course, have a
There it
Carlynton
is.
app that everybody knows about.
The buzz is.
Get yours now.
Because I just think if we would do a mailing.
My wife
Yes.
downloaded hers
Changes,
the other day.
that's a piece of paper that gets tossed.
Absolutely.
If you have it in a central location in an app, whatever the case is, anybody has the opportunity.
You know where it is when you need
That
it.
has that access, that can do it at any point in time.
Thank you. Any further discussion on that, the motion to approve the handbook? There being none, we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions, the motion carries. Moving on to old business. We have an item here, wireless network service, to discuss under old business.
As members of the board know, we've been discussing, doing a lot of upgrades to technology during the course of the year. I want to thank Director Shriver for his input and other directors and building principals and administrators because it takes a lot of time and you want to make a good decision that not only benefits the kids but is also cost effective and fits within our goals. Based on that and a lot of questioning, it's my recommendation we go with AeroHive for the wireless. They've given us two quotes. Initially, if you recall, we budgeted for $46,000. They have a quote with a 5-year warranty and support services. That's $30,284 for the 5-year. They have one that they're also offering for a 1-year for $26,000. And that would be 15 wireless access points per building. Which, we had a lot of concern and question, is the original recommended amount more than what we need? But also, if we need more than 15, we have the opportunity to add more as need increases. But I think the consensus was that 15 wireless access points per building would meet the needs of the kids and the needs of the faculty and administration for the wireless services. So I think the question before the board would be, do we go with the 1 year for 26 warranty, $26,609, or the 5-year for $30,284?
Is that a per year price, the 5-year price?
I believe it's total.
So you get basically 2 years
That's
free.
the total.
Yeah.
You're buying hardware,
Hardware.
and then the difference is going to be the length of the warranty.
And support
You have to
services,
spend $4,000 more to get 4 extra years in terms of support
Of
services
support
and warranty.
service.
Is that a,
35.
That
is that
makes
fair?
sense.
Roughly.
Yes.
Okay. What's the recommendation?
My recommendation is to get the 5-year. Again, it still comes under the amount that the board budgeted for the 46 by $16,000. Now that we have a new tech person, Brian DeRicca, working with us from the IU. Met with him a little bit this evening in between our executive session and the school day.
He had a recommendation as well?
No, not really a recommendation, because he really hasn't been involved with the process of going through it. But I think working with him to see that this then becomes implemented and we can move forward.
Further discussion? There being none, we will vote. All those in favor say, oh, wait, we need a motion. So, I'll entertain a motion to purchase an AeroHive, what is this?
Wireless access.
Wireless access point products at a cost,
Products and support services.
products and support service at a cost of $30,284, which includes a 5-year warranty,
So moved.
as recommended by the administration. And
Still-
there is a motion, is there a second?
So,
Moved
second.
moved and seconded. Betsy's motion, and did you second?
I thought you moved.
Well, you
I
made
just
the
said, you
motion.
I didn't make the motion, I'm entertaining the motion.
Okay.
You made a
Second.
motion, and Ray's seconding.
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? There being none, we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions, the motion carries. All right, any other old business? There being none, we'll move on to new business. I have 2 items. First, I will entertain a motion to award a reimbursement of $22,000 to retiree Patricia Fisher for unused vacation days as submitted. Is there such a motion?
So
moved.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'd simply like to state that Mrs. Fisher, who retired, I guess, June 30th or thereabouts.
28th.
And been quite a fixture here in the district and the high school. Put in a lot of time, a lot of hours. She bleeds green and gold. We appreciate all that she's done for us. We miss her. This is just the last step of the package that she was due under her contract, as well as the laws of Pennsylvania. So we're just sort of wrapping that all up right now. Any further discussion? There being none, we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions, the motion carries. Second item I have is that I will entertain a motion that effective immediately, Michael Lochran be hired as high school principal at an annual salary of $100,000 and under the terms and conditions of the current Act 93 agreement, and provided all required clearances are current and forthcoming. Is there a motion to the effect?
So moved.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? I'd first turn to our superintendent to Mike, just comment on this individual. We had a chance to meet with him in executive session prior to the meeting, and I think that we were all very impressed with the gentleman. Gary, anything you'd like to say?
I was going to say, we've been undergoing a search for a high school principal for pretty much the entire summer, going back and forth. It is a priority to get a good person in here that can work not only with the faculty and students, but the other administrators of the team, that has some secondary experience and wants to be here, and wants to be a Carlynton Cougar and a part of this community. Mike Lochran is that person. He comes to us from Plum. He comes highly recommended there. He was a teacher, I believe, at Fox Chapel before that. So I believe his experience, his temperament, his academic background are going to be a good fit with us here at Carlynton. And I think it's a great opportunity for the district.
Any further comments, discussion? There being none, we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstention, motion carries. Anything else under new business? There being none, we'll move to open forum. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board on any item? Open forum? Any director have anything else to add? There being nothing, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
It has been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. This meeting is adjourned.